Thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction. It's actually a pleasure to be here. I've been involved in federal politics for about 15 years now. I decided it was a good idea to dip my toe into local stuff about 2 years ago, to my demise, realizing the problems we have here in the state of Colorado. And it is my mission to ensure that the best possible candidates get elected into every single office in the state to take back our conservative values. And to do that, so I wrote a little speech, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I have a very long history of what originally I was born in upstate New York. I grew up in New Jersey. I moved out here when I was 18 years old when I went to the Air Force Academy. I wrote an entire book about that experience. It's called The Guy in the Yellow Tie. As you can see, I'm yellow tie specific to that. So this goes on pre-sale on Halloween because I like spooky season. So I'm excited about that, but I'll get started here. So when I arrived at the United States Air Force Academy in 2006, I was a young man filled with fire and ambition. I joined the military 5 short years after the towers fell on 9/11. I lost family in the towers, and I believed in the mission. I believed in duty, and I believed that if I worked hard, and I stood for what was right, and I kept my faith at the center, that the system would do the same. But that belief was very much tested. Not in the ways you might expect, not on the obstacle course, or in the classroom, or on a parade field. I was tested when I chose to tell the truth. I was tested when I stood up for what was right, and instead of being celebrated for my integrity, I was targeted, and I was isolated. I was told that my service, my future, and everything that I had worked for would be taken away from me if I didn't stay silent. Those moments are seared into my memory. Standing in those hallways, looking at that American flag flying over the terrazzo, I had to decide what kind of man I was going to be. Would I bow to fear, or would I stand for truth? So I stood against the system, and it cost me. And that's where the real leadership begins, when comfort ends and conviction starts. Before I ever wore a military uniform, though, I was a firefighter, I was an EMT, and I was a search and rescue technician, responding to disasters and accidents before most people my age even thought about leadership. Service wasn't a slogan for me, it had always been my way of life, a duty to my community, state, and nation. And from firefighting to the academy, from deployments overseas to working in the oil and gas industry right here in America, from whistleblowing to podcasting, and even substitute teaching at my local Catholic school from time to time, every chapter of my life has been about one thing: standing for what is right, no matter the cost. I've had moments in the deserts and overseas where the sound of freedom was literal. HIMARS rockets shaking the ground and killing terrorists, flags on our shoulders reminding us why we were there. Then I've had moments right here at home where the battle wasn't against a foreign enemy, but against complacency, corruption, and the fear within our military and our elected officials. We need to talk plainly about where we are. America is at a crossroads. We live in a time where the very leaders sworn to defend this Constitution often act as if it is optional. We see politicians who care more about their careers than our communities, bureaucrats who silence the people they're supposed to serve, and corporations that think they're more powerful than the people that they're supposed to be serving. And for young Americans, this seems personal. They've grown up watching institutions fail them, they've watched leaders lie to them, and they're watching their own American dream seem further and further out of reach. But I'm here to tell you something. This is not the end of the American story. It's the moment before the next generation rises, and that is you. At the heart of everything is the freedom to speak. The freedom of speech is not just another right, it is the foundation of every other liberty that we hold dear. The moment that they can silence you is the moment that they will control you. I've lived this firsthand. When I spoke up about the corruption at the Air Force Academy, the system tried to erase my voice. They tried to rewrite the narrative, they slandered me, labeled me, isolated me, and they tried to make me disappear quietly. If you don't believe me, you can Google me. Tony Kovaleski on Denver 7 and I have a great relationship on that. But I refused, because George Washington once said, if the freedom of speech is taken away, then the dumb and silent we may be led like sheep to the slaughter. Isaiah 6:8 says, then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send, and who will go for us? And I said, here I am, send me. Those words have guided me through every single fire, betrayal, and battle. That is the posture that America needs right now. Men and women willing to stand up and say, here I am, send me. So I want to speak directly to the young people in this room. You have been told that your voice doesn't matter, that your vote doesn't count, that the system is rigged, and then you should just keep your head down. But I'm going to tell you the truth. You're the leaders that we've been waiting for. If you want a government that listens to the families, run for office. If you want schools that teach truth, run for the school board. If you want communities that defend the Constitution, then you need to step into that arena yourself. Don't wait for permission, break the rules, make mistakes, because history doesn't remember those who waited, it remembers those who answered the call. Imagine 20 years from now, your children, your grandchildren are looking you in the eye and asking, what did you do when America was at risk? Will you say, I scrolled on my phone? Or will you say, I stood up and I ran for office? I fought, I led, and I was a citizen, not just a resident. When I stood under that flag at the Air Force Academy over 15 years ago, staring at a system that wanted me silent, I made a decision that I was never going to back down, not then and not ever. Because if our leaders won't defend the Constitution, then we must become the leaders that will. If they won't fight for free speech, faith, family, and freedom, then we must rise and fight for all of it. This is our moment, and this is our generation's calling. And I don't care if you're 18 or 80, if you love this country, if you believe in the promise of America, if you believe that freedom is worth fighting for, then stand up, speak out, and get in the arena, just like Teddy Roosevelt told us. Because the future doesn't belong to the powerful, it belongs to the brave. So tonight I ask you, which is what I asked myself standing on those academy grounds, will you bow to fear or will you stand for the truth? For me, the answer is simple. Here I am, send me. And who are the leaders of all the chapters around Colorado? Are you guys here today? Come on up, I have something for you. If you're a chapter leader in Turning Point USA, come on up here. It's okay, I'll give him one later. This is my personal challenge going as an officer, and I only give it to people that are going to change this country. So I want to thank you for being the change that we need in this country, because without you, we're not going to get there. No, thank you, because like I said, I'm a millennial and I'm old, and I decided to jump out of airplanes as a paratrooper like that was a good idea. And now I have like titanium rods in my legs and all that fun stuff, right? You're the future. You need to organize your chapters. You need to do all the things that I set myself up for, and I did it all by myself. And the funny joke is, the reason they call me the guy in the yellow tie is because somehow I showed up in Washington, D.C., and I stood up with Trump's entire cabinet at the inauguration by accident because I looked like I was supposed to be there. Fake it till you make it, people, okay? I'm serious. I have no idea what I was doing on the national politics stage when I walked in there, but you want to know what? If you act like you know what you're doing, if you have the courage to command, and if you just actually do what you are asked to do, even if you have to make up the rules by yourself and screw up along the way, people are going to listen to you, because this country is desperate for leaders. If you look at all the politicians in the state, some of them do what they say, some of them don't. Some of them say we're going to fight for veterans and oil and gas workers and farmers and ranchers, and the next thing I know, they do absolutely nothing for our districts and our precincts. So become a district captain, become a PCP, go to all the SEC meetings, make noise. Just because you're young, right? I tell all the old people all the time, you're not going to be around here forever, and we can't have families and raise our future children if those people continuously won't train us as mentors to hand over the torch. So that is my charge to all the young people in this room. It is now time for you to take the responsibility, even though you have no idea what you're doing, and find those people and throw them into office. I don't care if you have the primary people, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. Just get them to run for office. And even if you lose, you know what? You got like another 50 years to keep running. Some of them don't, right? You know what I'm talking about. So that's my challenge to you. So thank you so much for being here. I am inspired by all of you, because I can't do this by myself. It is going to take all of us to initiate that change. And that's exactly what Charlie would have wanted. Right? I mean, I've met Charlie across the ways throughout my political career. He's an amazing man. But just because he's no longer with us, just like in the military, right, Gil Martin? If the PL or the NCO gets shot, the next guy behind him may stand up and keep on pushing forward, right? Amen. So thank you very much for all of you for being here.